Remember when Sega used to have their own consoles before they ultimately handed their exclusives over to multiple companies like Nintendo and PlayStation? Well, I don't since I was in my dad's balls, but I digress. Not only is Xbox gonna share the same fate soon now that Halo is coming to PS5 next year, and not to mention the recent price increases, like what the fuck are you guys thinking? But it gets us to the topic of today's video. The Sega Dreamcast with, from what I've seen, only 2 games that are really noteworthy, Sonic Adventures 1 and 2. That's right, when I made my voting poll about what Sonic game I should tackle next, Adventure won by a landslide, but I also got a good amount of requests for Adventure 2. So I decided I might as well hit 2 birds with 1 stone and cover both. Unfortunately, I couldn't have the authentic experience. Since I don't feel like paying $200 for a console I'm only gonna play 2 games on, so I just got them from the PS3 store. Also, this is my 50th review on the channel. Just thought I should throw that out there. But yeah, I don't got much to say for the intro, so how about we dive right into it? Sonic 3D Blast may be the first Sonic game to incorporate 3D elements, but Sonic Adventure, on the other hand, is the first Sonic game to be fully 3D when it was released in 1998. It is also the first Sonic game with voice acting, unless you count this one-liner in Sonic CD.
I'm out of here!
With 6 playable characters, this one by far has the biggest playable roster out of all Sonic games at the time, with our heroes Sonic the Hedgehog, Tails the Nerd Emoji, Knuckles the rougher than the rest of them, Amy the obsessive fangirl, Big the Thick Daddy champion, and E102 Gamma, a very important Sonic character that definitely won't be replaced in like 2 games, and that said replacement that definitely doesn't come in to replace Gamma definitely won't keep returning in future Sonic games. Each character has their own individual path in this multi-perspective story, which would be repeated in future Sonic games, including a sequel 3 years later. But yeah, Knuckles is guarding the Master Emerald as usual, but since we need to have a plot, shit gets out of hand as a water monster named Chaos emerges from the now broken Master Emerald. With the Master Emerald broken, Angel Island is now falling into the ocean, which awakens our Lord and Savior, Big the Cat, with Froggy hopping away. Station Square is being terrorized by Chaos, who turns out is immune to the American tactics, so now we have to take a whole different approach. Beat the ever-loving shit out of him, which is quite easy to do, as expected from the first ever gameplay section. But who would be the lead of these schemes? Why, the great almighty Dr. Robotnik. At the time he isn't cool with Sonic calling him Eggman, but I really like how later on, Robotnik literally made the whole egg thing his brand. I mean, we got the Death Egg robot, the Egg Fleet, the hard-boiled heavies. Hell, the dude later goes on to call himself Eggman. Sonic may be the guy who always kicks his ass, but I say Robotnik got a win in removing one insult Sonic can dish out at him. Though there are still more ways to insult him, at least the goat took one away, so that's gotta count for something, right? But I'm getting sidetracked. The Egg Hornet may not have been successful, but Eggman still had a W. And so did Chaos, who gets stronger every time he gets another Chaos Emerald, which is one step closer to the bad guy's ultimate goal, Eggman Land. Wait, not yet. Robotnik Land. So now our band of misfits have to go around collecting the Chaos Emeralds before Eggman. And of course, we can't have a Sonic game without pinball. Or, I guess we can, but whatever. Eggman steals one of the emeralds the heroes busted their asses for by knocking them out. Meanwhile, Knuckles follows Eggman and ends up fighting Chaos too, which afterwards Eggman ends up manipulating Knuckles for the second time by claiming Sonic's after the Master Emerald pieces as well, all the while Gamma is born. Knuckles fights the duo, and again, Eggman steals the Chaos Emeralds Sonic had, and now they gotta fight Chaos 4, which includes Tails. That definitely means he has no reason to worry about Chaos Zero, right? Right?
Whoa! Chaos! Sonic, help me!
Now, I know, Sonic and Knuckles for the Sega Genesis have a Chaos 4 boss fight, but I like to think everyone was fighting him at the same time. Now that implies Tails would have no trouble against Chaos Zero, which means, in conclusion, Tails had no reason to be a fucking pussy in Forces. I'm just saying, that shit still grinds my gears. But anyway, Amy starts her side quest with a bird, all the while Knuckles goes a separate way from Sonic and Tails, who fly to the egg carrier to fuck shit up. But that doesn't work out as planned, unfortunately. Talk about low-budget flights, am I right? Instead of finding Tails, Sonic finds Amy, all the while Tails goes his own way and builds a new plane, and Amy gets herself captured and Sonic has to save her. After that, Sonic and Tails reunite and have another go at traversing to the egg carrier, all the while Knuckles finds Eggman's base by following Gamma. Gamma frees Amy, and the duo of losers successfully arrive at the egg carrier, where Sonic and Knuckles would fight Chaos 6 after Big freed Froggy. The Master Emerald is finally fixed, and Tails has a bout with Eggman and the Egg Walker, who then fights Sonic with the Egg Viper, which now leads to a happy ending to all. Meanwhile, Gamma fights Beta. Remember the bird Amy spent the whole game protecting? Well, turns out Gamma is part of that said bird's family, and so is Beta. So the happy ending for all thing I said a couple seconds ago is a fucking lie. At least for now it is, because Eggman and Knuckles got their asses kicked by Chaos, who was also the guy who wiped out the Echidna clan, who we've been seeing a bunch of flashbacks for all game. And now Chaos has all 7 of the Chaos Emeralds and becomes a giant water kaiju absolutely butt-fucking Station Square. Eggman goes blasting off again, and it turns out Chaos only uses the negative energy of the Chaos Emeralds, so now Sonic has to whoop him with the positive energy of the Emeralds. And now we get an easy but epic boss fight against Perfect Chaos, with Open Your Heart playing in the background. But all good things must come to an end, and thankfully, Chaos can now rest in peace.
All's well that ends well, right?
Yeah, it's not like the entire city got flooded, which likely resulted in the deaths of hundreds, potentially thousands of people or anything. But yeah, Sonic dips faster than Batman, and just like that, the story's over. It's a pretty solid game that kickstarted the 3D Sonic game formula, which would be innovated upon for years to come, even to this day, including its sequel, which we'll go into on the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball Z! And that said episode is what we'll get to right now. We jump to the new millennium, and the final year of the Sega Dreamcast, with Sonic Adventure 2 released in 2001. As we all know, this will be adapted into live action 23 years later, skipping Sonic CD and Adventure 1. And while it's not exactly one-to-one with Sonic Adventure 2, it was still an S-tier movie. But I'm getting sidetracked. This game, like its predecessor, also has 6 playable characters, but only 3 of them were previously playable in Sonic Adventure 1. One of the new characters is the Moon Pisser himself, Dr. Eggman, and the other 2 are new characters that, unlike Gamma, will keep appearing in newer games, and would be 2 of the most iconic and beloved characters in the Sonic community. At least one of them is for their character, and the other is, well, let's just say that is something for a different site. I'm talking about the thief, Rouge the Bat, who for some reason has big tits, and the bitch-ass motherfucker who is so cool, no other wannabe hedgehog would ever be good enough to be his fake, Shadow the Hedgehog. And another thing that sets this apart from its predecessor is this time around, there are only 2 perspectives from which the story is being told. The hero story and the dark story, not counting the final story, of course. We start off playing as Eggman, who would release the military's top secret weapon, which is none other than Edgy the Hedgy, the edgiest of the edge, who would cause all sorts of trouble for our hero, who jumps off a low-budget flight with no food or movies, and proceeds to escape from the city called City Escape. Huh? Guess I shouldn't question anything about a franchise with a blue hedgehog who runs faster than Dad when he leaves to get the milk, or a mustached Gru who mass-produces robots. Meanwhile, Sonic and Knuckles, but swap Sonic with Rouge, are disputing over the Master Emerald, only for Eggman to take it away, and the Emerald to get destroyed again, this time by Knuckles. But back to the black and blue blurs. After we learn a bit about Shadow's origin story with his friend Maria, whose death is more memeable than Yamcha, the Hedgehogs meet for the first time only for Shadow to use Chaos Control to Aura Farm over Sonic. Shadow and Eggman scheme to reactivate the Eclipse Cannon, all the while they make a deal with Rouge for an alliance. And Amy, who doesn't really serve as big of a purpose in this story, mistakes Shadow for Sonic. In broad daylight. I mean, hey, if the fucking military is too stupid to decipher the difference between Sonic and Shadow, I guess Amy's not smart enough to do that either. Tails jumps in to save the day and Amy frees Sonic. Rouge locks herself in a big-ass safe, prompting Shadow to save her, with epic techno music playing in the background. But on the way, he meets that blue hedgehog again of all places, who is clearly not even good enough to be his fake. Did Shadow eat those words? Yeah, it looks like a stalemate to me. But yeah, the island explodes, and just like that, the bad guys have 6 out of the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Eggman has come to make an announcement, and he's not gonna piss on the Earth. He's going higher. He's pissing on the moon! How do you like that, Obama? Snapcube references aside, there's a 24-hour time limit before everyone fucking dies. But luckily, Tails has the one Chaos Emerald the bad guys are missing, and after busting into the president's limo, traced Eggman's location. Should've installed a VPN, bud. And after fighting a big-ass ghost and a giant sand man, the good guys fly up into space and ditch the shuttle after it crashed and Knuckles took over the controls. Tails has a big-brained plan to use a fake Chaos Emerald, all the while Knuckles has a bout against Rouge, only for them to form a truce, and just like that, the Master Emerald is fixed. Again. But Eggman stops playing and outright points a gun at Amy's face. Guess he's not a feminist after all, huh? But Sonic comes to save the day, only for him to get trapped.
You thought you could trick me with that fake emerald, didn't you?
So, how did you know it wasn't the real one?
Tails!
Because you just told me, Fox Boy.
Look, I know I've been memeing Shadows and Sonic's quotes throughout this entire video, but this is by far actually my favorite quote. But yeah, Sonic fucking dies, and Tails takes on Eggman, all the while Shadow catches Rouge in the act, scheming to betray them. But luckily, Sonic survives and has a final bout with Shadow, where they run across a somehow infinite track. But while Tails is distracted by Sonic, Eggman snags the last Chaos Emerald, and just like that, he has all 7. But the attack goes wrong with Eggman's deceased grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, displayed on the screen, who in revenge wanted to set it so the space colony Ark would crash directly into Earth. And just like that, both of the bands of misfits join forces. Even Shadow, once he finally remembers what Maria truly said in her final moments before getting the John Marston treatment. But now we meet the ultimate lifeform prototype, Bio-Lizard, who Shadow chooses to fight, while Sonic and Knuckles set up the Master Emerald to stop the Chaos Emeralds. Bio-Lizard is then revealed to still be alive, now taking on the form of the Final Hazard. So now Sonic and Shadow have to have their epic team-up moment and go super together. You know, Sonic and Shadow are a really good team. I really like seeing them work together. I kinda wonder what kind of badass fan art they got. Now we get a fight of epic proportions, with the Goku and Vegeta copycats clashing with the alien Freak, which of course ends with the hero's victory. But in this case, with a devastating cost. After using Chaos Control to stop the Ark, Shadow expends the last of his energy and falls into the earth, and that is the last we'll ever see of Shadow the Hedgehog. Until he was brought back 2 years later in Sonic Heroes! You know something? This was originally meant to be Shadow's only appearance in the franchise. No, seriously, they were gonna give him the fucking Raditz treatment. But thank goodness they didn't, cause he is so goddamn cool! The game ends with everyone reminiscing on the Adventure 2 they had, and yeah, that's kinda it. This is one of the cases where I'd say with an open heart, a sequel is better than its predecessor, which I'll go into further detail in this next section. As the title says, these games are enduring classics even after all this time, starting with Adventure 1. The story is relatively simplistic, but at the same time we get a solid experience overall. The gameplay isn't necessarily perfect, but the way I see it, it was an excellent building block for the 3D Sonic games that would come after. And not to mention, this was the debut of Crush 40, so this gives the game a couple brownie points. But jokes aside, I genuinely don't have much to say about this game. The way I see it, it's not a masterpiece, but it's a really strong start and a solid game overall. So to plug it all in, I rate Sonic Adventure a 7 out of 10. But Sonic Adventure 2, I am much more passionate about. Though that is mainly because it introduced a fan-favorite character who is beloved by so many people, including myself. So much so, his fate in the franchise was outright changed. Hell, not only did he get 2 standalone games, he'd even get a whole year dedicated to him, and unlike my other GOAT Luigi, actually did the whole year of thing properly. But moving on from that, as expected from a sequel, the stakes are much higher than its predecessor. Like in Adventure 1, what's the main deal? Oh no, this water dude is gonna flood our cities. Meanwhile, in this game, the stakes are everyone is gonna fucking die, your planet is gonna get destroyed, and I'm gonna shoot Amy in the fucking face if you don't hand over that piss rock, Sonic the Hedgehog. Seriously, I still can't get over Eggman just straight up pointing a gun at Amy. Speaking of things I can't get over, the dialogue is just so iconic. This game is just so fun to quote, even without Snapcube, which is just a whole nother conversation, but I'm getting sidetracked. The game is dated in plenty of aspects, and as I brought up in my Sonic 06 review, the mocap just looks weird, not gonna lie. But despite that, this was an excellent Adventure 2 with the Blue Blur and his band of misfits, which gave us the best character in Sonic history. So to plug it all in, I rate Sonic Adventure 2 a 9 out of 10. And that's kinda all I got to say. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you look forward to my inevitable Let's Plays of both these games. Which is not anytime soon, because my next Sonic Let's Play is going to be Secret Rings, which I also plan on making a review of in the future. But going off the voting poll I did, it looks like Sonic Unleashed is next up on the chopping block. But yeah, until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya, chump. Also, Sega, when are we getting Sonic Adventure 3?